Welcome back to Cheating Stories, a channel where betrayal, heartbreak, secrets, and shocking relationship drama come to light. Today's story is one of the most painful betrayals imaginable. Imagine trusting your own sister with your home, your children, and your marriage, only to discover she was secretly building a relationship with your husband behind your back. This is the story of how one woman lost not only her marriage, but also the sister she thought would always protect her. I used to believe that family was the one thing in life you could always count on. Friends leave, relationships fail, people disappoint you. But family? Family was supposed to be forever. At least that's what my mother always told us growing up. There is nobody in this world who will love you more than your sister, she used to say while forcing me and my younger sister Lily to hug after arguments. Back then, I believed her. I was 3 years older than Lily. Growing up, I was the responsible one, the quiet one, the girl who followed the rules and tried to keep everyone happy. Lily was the opposite. She was beautiful, outgoing, loud, and magnetic. People naturally gravitated toward her everywhere she went. Teachers adored her. Men obsessed over her. Even women wanted to be her friend. Sometimes I envied how effortlessly she moved through life. But she was still my sister. When our father died unexpectedly from a heart attack, I was 26 and Lily was 23. That tragedy brought us even closer together. We cried together, supported our mother together, and promised we would always have each other no matter what happened. 2 years later, I met Daniel. At the time, I was working as a receptionist at a dental clinic. Daniel came in wearing a navy blue suit and carrying himself with the kind of confidence that made everyone notice him when he entered a room. He was charming without trying too hard, successful without bragging, handsome in a mature, comforting way. When he asked me out for dinner, I remember calling Lily immediately afterward. "Oh my God," she squealed over the phone. "Finally, you deserve someone good." The first few years with Daniel felt like a dream. We got married after 18 months of dating. We bought a beautiful 4-bedroom house in the suburbs. Eventually, we had 2 children, Olivia and Mason. Life wasn't perfect, but it was stable, comfortable, safe. And after years of struggling financially growing up, that stability meant everything to me. Lily remained heavily involved in our lives. She came over constantly. Sometimes she stayed for dinner 3 or 4 times a week. My children adored her. Daniel got along with her easily because Lily had a way of making people feel entertained and important. At first, I loved seeing them bond. I thought, this is what family should look like. But looking back now, I realized the signs were there much earlier than I wanted to admit.
The flirting disguised as jokes, the lingering eye contact, the private conversations that stopped when I entered the room. I ignored it because the alternative was too horrifying to consider. One Friday evening, Daniel came home unusually late from work. "Sorry," he said, while loosening his tie. "The office was chaos today." I nodded, exhausted from dealing with the kids all day. I barely looked up from the kitchen sink. 10 minutes later, Lily arrived unexpectedly carrying a bottle of wine. "Girls' night?" she asked excitedly. I remember finding it strange because she hadn't texted beforehand, but I shrugged it off. That night, something felt off. Daniel seemed energized, despite supposedly having such a stressful day. "Lily laughed at everything," he said. At one point, I walked into the living room and caught them sitting unusually close together on the sofa. They quickly shifted apart. Maybe another woman would have confronted them right there, but I told myself I was being paranoid. That became my pattern for the next year. Notice something uncomfortable, then immediately convinced myself it meant nothing. One afternoon, Lily came over while Daniel was supposedly at work. I was upstairs folding laundry when I heard voices downstairs. Male voices. I froze. Daniel was home. Confused, I quietly walked toward the staircase and heard Lily laughing softly. "You're terrible," she whispered. Then Daniel replied, "You like terrible?" Something about his tone made my stomach twist. I descended the stairs quietly and walked into the kitchen. The moment they saw me, both of them jumped slightly. "Oh," Lily said quickly. "I didn't know you were home." I stared at Daniel. "I thought you were working." "I forgot some files," he answered immediately. Too immediately. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. Still, I said nothing. That night, I barely slept. My mind replayed every interaction between them over the previous months. The secret smiles, the inside jokes, the way Lily touched his arm too often. I hated myself for even thinking it. Because he suspects their own sister, weeks passed. Then months. I became hyper-aware of everything. If Daniel took too long replying to texts, I wondered if he was with her. If Lily didn't answer my calls, my chest tightened. I slowly started losing my peace. One evening, while Daniel showered upstairs, his phone buzzed beside me on the couch. I wasn't the kind of wife who checked phones. At least I hadn't been before. But intuition is a terrifying thing. Sometimes your body knows the truth before your mind is ready. The screen lit up. A message from Lily. My entire body went cold. The preview read, "I miss you already." For a moment, I genuinely couldn't breathe. My hands shook so violently, I nearly dropped the phone. I opened the message thread. What I found shattered my life in seconds. There were hundreds of messages, photos, inside jokes, sexual conversations, plans to meet secretly. One message from Daniel read, "She suspects something." And Lily replied, "She never leave you. She's too weak." I felt physically sick. My own sister, my husband, the two people I trusted most in the world had been humiliating me behind my back. I heard the shower upstairs turn off. Panic rushed through me. I quickly placed the phone exactly where it had been and sat frozen on the couch, while my heart pounded violently against my ribs. Daniel came downstairs casually wearing sweatpants. "You okay?" he asked. I stared at him. This man had kissed me goodbye that morning, held my children, shared my bed, and all along he was sleeping with my sister. Suddenly, I saw him differently. Not as my husband, not as my partner, but as a stranger. That night, I pretended everything was normal because I needed time to think. I barely slept. By morning, the grief had transformed into something colder. Anger, not just at Danielle, at Lily. Because cheating is terrible. But betrayal from family cuts differently. She had eaten at my table, played with my children, listened to me cry about my marriage while secretly sleeping with my husband. That level of deception changes you forever. The next weekend, I invited Lily over for lunch. I acted completely normal. She arrived smiling, carrying cupcakes for the children. Watching her hug my daughter nearly made me snap right there. But I stayed calm. Daniel looked nervous throughout the meal. I could tell he sensed something had shifted in me. After lunch, I asked my mother to take the kids to the park. The moment the front door closed, silence filled the house. Lily looked at me carefully. "What's wrong?" I stood slowly. Then I placed Danielle's phone on the table. I know. The color drained from both their faces instantly. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. Then Danielle started talking rapidly. "It's not what you think," I laughed a bit early. "Not what I think? You told her I was weak." Lily's eyes widened. I turned toward her. "You called me weak while sleeping with my husband." She immediately started crying. I never meant for this to happen. That sentence ignited something inside me. "You never meant for this to happen?" I shouted. "You did this for over a year." Daniel stepped forward. "Please calm down. Don't tell me to calm down." Years of suppressed emotion exploded out of me all at once. I screamed. I cried. I asked questions I already knew would never have satisfying answers. Why her? How long? Did they laugh about me together? The worst part was how guilty they looked. Not guilty enough to stop. Just guilty enough after getting caught. Eventually, Lily whispered something I will never forget. "He understands me in ways you don't." That sentence broke whatever remained of my relationship with her. Because suddenly, it wasn't just cheating anymore. It was competition, comparison. My own sister believed she had somehow won.
I looked at her and realized I didn't even recognize the woman standing in front of me anymore. I told them both to leave. Daniel tried refusing at first because the house was jointly owned, but I threatened to expose everything publicly to both families immediately. Within an hour, they were gone. I collapsed on the kitchen floor afterward and cried until I physically couldn't anymore. The following months were the darkest period of my life. Depression consumed me. I struggled to eat, struggled to sleep, struggled to explain to my children why their father no longer lived at home. But even worse than losing my marriage was losing my sense of identity. I kept asking myself, how did I miss this? Was I stupid, weak, boring? Cheating destroys your self-esteem because you start blaming yourself for someone else's betrayal. Meanwhile, rumors spread quickly through the family. Some relatives sided with me, others tried staying neutral. My mother completely broke down emotionally. I lost both my daughters. She cried one night over the phone. Because after that day, Lily and I stopped speaking entirely. Months later, I learned Daniel had moved into an apartment with her. That information nearly destroyed me all over again. They weren't just having an affair. They were trying to build a real relationship. For a while, bitterness consumed me. I obsessed over them constantly. Were they happy? Did he treat her better? Did he love her more? But eventually, something strange happened. Distance brought clarity. Without Daniel around, I slowly realized how emotionally manipulative he had always been. How often he criticized me subtly. How frequently I shrank myself to keep peace. How exhausted I constantly felt in that marriage. And as for Lily, I realized this wasn't the first boundary she had crossed in life. Growing up, she always needed attention, validation, competition. Even with me, I just never imagined she would take it this far. Therapy helped tremendously. So did time. Little by little, I rebuilt myself. I changed my hair, started going to the gym, focused on my children, made new friends. For the first time in years, I started rediscovering who I was outside of being someone's wife. Then, nearly a year after the affair exploded, Daniel contacted me unexpectedly. I made a mistake, he said quietly over the phone. I almost laughed. Apparently, life with Lily wasn't the fantasy he imagined. They fought constantly. Neither trusted the other. Jealousy poisoned everything. Of course it did. Relationships built through betrayal rarely create peace. He told me he missed our family, missed stability, missed me. But by then, something inside me had changed permanently. I no longer wanted him back. Not because I stopped loving him completely, but because I finally loved myself more. That was the lesson betrayal forced me to learn. Sometimes losing people reveals their true value. And sometimes the people you cry hardest over are the same people blocking your growth. I eventually finalized the divorce and received partial ownership of our assets and the family home. Daniel and Lily's relationship collapsed 6 months later. Ironically, he cheated on her too. When my mother told me, I simply nodded silently. No satisfaction, no revenge, just emptiness. Lily attempted reaching out afterward. She sent long messages apologizing, explaining, begging for forgiveness. But some betrayals permanently alter relationships. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not always the same thing. I eventually forgave her in my heart for my own peace, but I never trusted her again. Today, 3 years later, my life looks completely different. I'm happier, stronger, more confident. I built a peaceful home for my children and discovered parts of myself I had abandoned during my marriage. And strangely enough, if I could go back in time, I'm no longer sure I would undo what happened. Because betrayal destroyed my old life, but it also forced me to build a better one. So if you're listening to this story while going through heartbreak, remember this: sometimes people betray you because of who they are, not because of who you are. And the people willing to destroy you for temporary pleasure eventually destroy themselves too. In the end, my sister didn't steal my husband. She stole a problem I was too blind to release myself. And that realization set me free.